Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and no matter where we are here to have this interesting seminar. My name is Dominik Roskrut. I have a pleasure to be a chair of today's session, and I have a chair to be also the task team who stands behind this seminar today. It's a big honor for me, I can tell you, though through my multi-annual experience, I have learned that in my humble position of the chair, the main task of myself is not to keep you too long hearing what I have to say. This session is for the presenters, but just let me just slightly violate this rule and have a little introduction. So again, welcome at the third seminar within the series of the online events under the shared title Road to EXPO 2020. Expo was supposed to be in 2020, but we know what happened. We faced pandemic, so it changed the organization of all the events. So we are meeting now this year, and this webinar and all of them paved the way to the on-the-ground event, which will be jointly hosted in January 2022 by the Federal Competitiveness and Statistics Center of the United Arab Emirates and the United Nations Committee of Experts on Big Data and Data Science for Official Statistics. Today, we would particularly like to address the issue of capacity development and training work at the UN level, especially the committee experts level. We know all, that the landscape for production of official statistics production has changed significantly and is under a huge development. We observe the shift from the standard production methods to new data sources. We need to work and react in a very agile manner to emerging information needs. COVID pandemic itself has brought these issues to our attention as never before. Of course, new things arise like advanced data engineering, or data stewardship issue. These are the issues that we are continuously discussing at the international level. And we meet today also to have a look at those issues from the perspective of capacity building. As these challenges arise, to facilitate the process of adaptation of national statistical offices across the United Nations, we have established a series of task team, and today we meet under the aegis of the task team on training competencies and capacity development. That itself has embarked on a number of projects which led to concrete tools and activities. I would like to point out some of them. We started with the Competency Framework, some kind of like guidelines, compilation of core competencies for big data and data science experts. We addressed also the organizational level with a big data self-assessment tool, which was called Maturity Matrix. We have initiated and coordinated the process of developing a consistent training curricula across all the domains covered by the committee of experts task teams. In addition, we put together a database of training courses provided by a number of institutions across the world and translated into a learning paths tool, which will enable individual NSO staff to identify resources helping them advance their competencies. We have undertaken to set the learning management platform, which will hold all training courses developed by the task teams. And last but not least, we have initiated a dialogue with the regional hubs on the planning and coordination of training activities. And we are seeking ways to support them with the skills and capacity development guidelines and advice. My colleagues today from the task team will talk to you about these developments, and you will also hear an update on curriculum and training development from catalogs from scanner data, AIS, Ed observation, and mobile phone data task teams. So this is just an introduction, but without further delay, I would like to start a meeting with the first presentation, which is going to be UNGP Regional Hub Training Opportunities in United Arab Emirates. Latifa from United Arab Emirates, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, so before I start, I'd like to thank you, Chair, for this great introduction. And also I'd like to thank the team at the UN for organizing this workshop. I believe the Road to Expo is a glimpse of what's to come in Dubai and our event mobilizing big data and data science for the SDGs. So thank you all. Just to give you a brief introduction, I have a couple of slides to showcase what we're aiming for in the regional hub in the UAE. And then my colleague Khalid from Microsoft would be also giving you some glimpses of the collaboration that would be happening between two entities. Now, in our regional hub, as you all know, data is very important, and we realized the importance of that from our discussions with our partners in the region. And we identified key strategic areas that we would be working on in the regional hub. The first area is to create one of the largest data collaboration in the MENA region. What we mean is to create a dialogue between different entities, between different governments, between different countries, where we look at best practices in big data and data science. The second area is and the main objective of all of these three working areas is to get access for data, get the technological services or the tools that is needed for developing big data applications, to get access to expertise and learnings to this part of the world. Now, we will look at two main areas in our working streams, whether it was engaging the private sector, engaging government agencies, academia, and bringing in talent from the research and development area in the region and the communities as well. So in a nutshell, we're really looking forward to create a sandbox, an incubator for big data projects, initiatives to support the regional community. And maybe starting off with this collaboration is our partnership and our strategic partnership with Microsoft. And my colleague Khalid will give you a glimpse on what is to come in that collaboration. So go ahead, Khalid, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Latifa. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, just allow me 1 second. I'll share my slides. Then we are off to go. Okay, first of all, thank you, Latifa. Thank you, Dominic. Thanks, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, it's a pleasure to be here with you today to talk about the partnership that we have between Fcsc and Microsoft that will not only serve as an enabler for FCFC themselves or the UAE government, but also for the rest of the countries in the region to empower everyone to do more and to achieve more using the different activities, our platforms from a technology perspective, our expertise as Microsoft, as well as any data that we can also contribute to as Microsoft that would help everyone reaching their UN SDG goals. So to start with, my name is Khalid Shabrawi. I work in Microsoft Gulf, part of the public sector team. I'm the government industry advisor, and I look after a few main, let's say, strategic initiatives within the government space, namely artificial intelligence and data science and digital transformation, as well as sustainability and innovation, as well as the strategic partnerships. So I think that's pretty much aligned with the goals that we would like to achieve here together within this forum. Now, I'll speak from two angles. One angle is myself working at Microsoft and serving and interacting with the different government entities around the region, because we see many projects coming up, digital transformation journeys shaping. And we're seeing, due to, of course, the COVID situation, and our maybe many of you have heard that our CEO Satya have declared that due to COVID, we've been seeing 2 years worth of digital transformation projects happening within a very short amount of time, even within 2 months space at the beginning of the COVID pandemic. So, and this takes us to a point where I wanted to share some of my insights, and then we will go into highlighting the areas of partnership between Fcsc and Microsoft and how this will help serve the rest of the countries and the United Nations global platform, as well as the hubs and everyone who's interested actually to participate with us and work together to for the sake of all humanity and for achieving the UN SDGs. Now, of course, everyone has been talking about the fourth industrial revolution, but now we're actually seeing very strong signals that we're already going into the fifth industrial revolution that is taking us through innovation and how we can couple the use of artificial intelligence and data as the backbone and main enabler for the fifth industrial revolution, and how we can use these enablers to unlock human ingenuity and empower humans to do more, and definitely empower all the countries we live in to achieve the sustainability goals that we aspire to. Now, also, since data is the main enabler here, we're seeing two elements of the data. Of course, the access to the data, and this is definitely one of the main points that I am witnessing as myself when I interact with the different government entities, and definitely part of this forum is us sharing our expertise, experience, technology, platforms, and so on to help the different government entities and organizations have better access to data, whatever it exists today, how we can use this data to better collaborate together and use this data to develop further solutions and algorithms that, of course, at the end of the day, helps us to achieve the UN SDG goals, hopefully even in an earlier date than 2030. Now, of course, one of the main other aspects is how we can use those data sets for government entities to collaborate with each other. And we found that with practice that instead of different government entities owning the data sets and working on data sets, no matter how big they are, and definitely the amount of data is exponentially growing nowadays, how we can help collaborate and use the aggregate of all these data sets together and use the cooperation between the different entities to achieve better results into different verticals in the government. And maybe one of the clearer goals is during the COVID situation the past 2 years, I think food security was one of those main issues where collaborating together and using different data sources from different government entities helped even the UAE to bridge those gaps and achieve the results they wanted to achieve. Now, moving into the core of the partnership, I think from those surveys that we always do, and we depend on the likes of Gartner, IDC, Forrester, we're always continuously getting the same feedback that a lot of skills are still needed from the different government entities to build on top of those skills and match the goals that have been set by the country leadership. So today there is a lot of expectations on utilizing data and AI to achieve a lot of the goals. However, from our practical experience, we see that there is still a lack of skills, and this is a challenging element and really impeding the usage of technology, impeding the understanding of what the technology and the data can achieve and what use cases can come out of this huge big data sets that we all see and we all witness and feel within the government and cities alike, right? So this is why we're focusing, of course, and aligning with the goal of this session around scaling, capacity building, and making sure that the different government entities and countries have the right skills, the right capacity to use the different technology sets, tool sets that are available, and also how they can understand the capabilities of the technology and therefore help achieve the goals and the aspirations of all the countries. Now, zooming in a little bit on the cooperation scope between Fcsc and Microsoft, where we signed an MOU together after some time of discussing the areas of cooperation. So definitely one area to cooperate is on the different big data initiatives that Fcsc will be driving, and we will support and empower those initiatives, be it for Fcsc, the UAE government, be it local or federal, or as well as within their capacity as an orchestrator and leader to the hub that exists now in the UAE to serve the adjacent and surrounding countries, right? And here, of course, I'm sure that there is a lot of cooperation even between Microsoft and other countries, and Microsoft and the United Nations themselves in big data and to support the Sustainable Development Goals achievement. And I'm sure we will be able to bring in not just our local and regional expertise, but also our global expertise to come into the country here in UAE and help export ideas, help export, let's say, innovations in the area of big data to serve all the adjacent and countries that will be cooperating together with the UAE. Of course, skilling and capacity building, and I've seen Mr. Dominic highlighting the different amazing initiatives that are already there, and we would be happy to, of course, understand more on how to complement the efforts that are already being done and see where we can bring in the different curriculums from Microsoft about our technologies, our tracks related to data, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and how we, and of course, our cloud solutions and services that will be acting as the tool sets to help the different stakeholders and audience of the hub so that they can leverage either the courses or the tool sets. And as well, of course, Latifa spoke about the sandbox environment. So all these three things will gather together to provide the right skilling mechanism and capacity building. Of course, not to lose on the innovation aspect, because I think one of the most admirable traits of the UAE and the UAE government, and of course Fcsc representing the UAE government here, is the innovation drive in the UAE. So we take pride in the UAE by driving innovation across all areas in the government and relying on innovation and co-creation with either different government entities among each other, or like Latifa mentioned, the public-private partnership with, and I'm sure this will not only be confined to Microsoft, more and more technology vendors will come in the future into this platform to collaborate, and we are very open to collaborate with everyone for the sake of and for the good of all the countries and the humanity. Of course, technology and expertise support. So we have local teams here in Microsoft that will be supporting the Fcsc initiatives within this hub. We already have teams dedicated to work with Fcsc from now, and we'll see in the coming slides how we're shaping the different pillars and the details around the partnership. We have, like I said, a bunch of webinars that will be planned and training sessions, hopefully within to be launched within Q1 starting January. So we're finalizing the schedule as we speak so that everyone gets to know which topics will be delivered by when, as well as having the sandbox environment available. We will be definitely discussing how we integrate with the efforts, the great efforts that have already been done with the UN team, so that we come across as a collaborative team and build on top of the momentum that has already been happening to complement the efforts and take it to the next level and couple it with the capabilities of Microsoft. We also have our famous global AI business school curriculum that we have developed with un-cebd, which is already, we had already run multiple rounds here to test it in the UAE, and it has a lot of successes, a lot of very positive feedbacks from the different organizations and government entities that have achieved that certification. Of course, we'll be running a lot of trainings. Also, one of the the most useful engagement types that we've seen as Microsoft that we tried here from an innovative approach to upskill people is running hackathons. Hackathons usually are known to be competitions where we run those hackathons and deliver prizes for people who win. However, Microsoft have developed another angle for hackathons. We call it open hacks, where we bring in data sets, we bring in the different tools and so on, and we help those participants upskill themselves by running through different challenges. So many activities. Of course, we will have more times in the coming period to talk in detail. And just to summarize on the skilling and capacity building, the last slide, I know we're running out of time. Thank you, Dominic, for your patience. We have a lot to talk about, but I'm sure everyone has a tight schedule. You can see here leveraging the global learning platform from Microsoft. So we have this global platform that we can white label and bring all the content to Fcsc and the hub. AI Business School to help business decision makers and not just technical people. Webinars, instructor-led workshops, the joint hacks for solving problems or for upskilling. And of course, last but not least, that I believe personally is a very, let's say, great enabler for skilling and capacity building is the fact that we can use platforms like Teams that we are using here, and thank you for using it, and Yammer to build communities, help people share knowledge and learn together. And of course, that will enable everyone to achieve the goal collectively and not just in silos. So thank you for allowing me the time to speak, and I hope I did not overrun with many minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a very interesting presentation. Indeed, we are a little bit in a limited space in terms of the time, so that's why I have just texted you delicately. I know that there are some questions coming, but I think that we can use the chat actually to also communicate in between us, not to spend more time on discussing these issues when we have other interesting presenters ahead of us. Of course, thanks to Microsoft. Today we are on Microsoft Teams, and a tool that we use every day in academia, for example. I use it every day.
Thank you so much.
That's my best friend, Microsoft Teams. Anyway, but I would like to go to the next presentation, which is going to be about the overview of the UN Big Data Competency Framework and Big Data Maturity Matrix, and it's going to be delivered by Kerry Regan from ONS, United Kingdom, and my colleague here from the office, Claudia Peshat from Statistics Poland. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and thank you, Chair. Very good to be here. Good to see you, Chair. So I'm Kerry Regan. I'm a Senior Programme Manager focused on international data science capability building at the UK Data Science Campus. And my colleague, Claudia Peshat, is Chief Specialist Experimental Research Analysis Unit at Statistics Poland. And we are going to take you through two of the products that have come out of the task team on training, competencies and capacity development. But I'm first going to just look at some high-level aims of that task team, since most of the talk today is about what we do. And then we'll go into the detail on these two products. So first off, I mean, the high-level aims for our task team have been to design, develop frameworks and training that give consistency in global data science or big data capability building. We want products that empower different levels. So empower the individual to take control of their own learning development. And that's where the competency framework generally comes in. And Claudia will talk about that in a moment. And we want to have products that empower the NSO level. So strategic level documents that help an NSO understand where they want to be, where they want to get to, what the knowledge gaps are. And that's where the maturity matrix comes in, and I'll speak more to that. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Claudia, who is going to talk through the UN Big Data Competency Framework. And Claudia, just let me know when you want me to move the slides.
Okay, thank you, Kerry, very much, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to present you very briefly very first development done by the task team on training, competencies, and capacity development, which is the competency framework. Carrie, could you please go to the next slide? Okay, but let me just start from the very basic background on the work on the framework which have been done. The framework is intended to provide general guidelines on the skills which are needed to build big data, data science competencies to individual employees at the NSOs. And the framework defines big data competencies grouped in 2 blocks, core competencies and soft skills. We had to take into consideration when we were working on that competency framework that actually that doesn't exist a universal set of big data skills, that the term of data science is also very broad. There are different types of data specialists as well. So we have got, for example, data engineers, data analysts, data scientists, and these roles also might become even more granular or specific when we were talking about different types of data sources. So taking into account all of these things and also different stage of statistical production processes, it was quite a challenge to conceptualize this approach. So we have to make some universal and useful tool, and just to make some simplifications, not going into details, and just to create some kind of guidelines, frameworks, which would provide all of the necessary and useful information for many different NSOs. So here you can see 7 blocks of core competencies, which are ethics and privacy, statistics, machine learning, mathematics, programming, data management, and data visualization. And as you can see, it is not, this list is not exclusive. Some of these blocks intervene and others. For example, programming could be part of data management. It relates also with mathematics, machine learning, or data visualization. Okay, please, Carrie. Let's move to the next slide. And besides this core, or in other words, technical competencies, our framework includes also generic skills, which are also very important, I would say, indispensable part of the big data competency landscape. And here we've got a list of soft skills, which also not exclusive, but we include here such soft skills as agile project management, adaptability, business acumen, communication, critical thinking, curiosity, product understanding, storytelling, and team player. Okay, so could you please, Carrie, go to the next slide? Here, I've included a screenshot of the data management section of the competency framework. And as you can see, it provides a description of the competency which have been identified as a crucial or dominating for the specific area. It also provides some examples of knowledge, skills, attitude expected for the dimension. It covers 3 proficiency levels, distinguishing between foundation, intermediate, and advanced level. And other competency blocks are also described the same way as here it is, as is presented here. So it provides rather general guidance on big data knowledge and skills, and knowledge, skills, attitudes which are required for big data and processing big data. It can be used to assess knowledge gaps and recruit or train staff at the NSOs. And as a practical example, I can say that at Statistics Poland, we have used that framework, for example, to develop big data employee profiles, and it also helped us to shape and design a new internal development program called Data Science Academy. We hope that it will be also useful for other NSOs. Okay, could you, Carrie, go to the next slide? And it is just a few final comments on the competency framework. First of all, I would like to stress again that it is not exhaustive because it is just impossible to enumerate all the skills, areas, applications related to big data in official statistics. So there are obviously some gaps, and probably there would be also some gaps. There's rather impossible to cover all these areas. And the competency framework thus should be used as a guide, and should be also taken into account that not every data specialist must possess all of these skills, that different NSOs run different projects which require different skills at the different times, so it also should be taken into consideration, and the different types of data specialists required, of course, different skills and knowledge. So at the next slide, we provide you the link to the UN Big Data Competency Framework, which is held at the UN website. So you can look at here and see the whole document. Thank you very much. Over to you, Carrie.
Thank you, Claudia. Okay, moving through. Thank you for that. Yes, so the links are all going to be available via these slides on the UN website afterwards. Okay, we're going to take a look at the second product that we talked about, which is the UN Big Data Maturity Matrix. Remember that this is an NSO level tool. It exists currently in a PDF format on the UN website. The link is contained there, but we are in the process of converting this into an online interactive tool, which I'm going to take you through in a moment. It helps the NSO to identify strengths and weaknesses. If you're on a big data journey, what is your maturity currently, and where is it you're trying to get to? It could help you plan or develop a roadmap to improve your maturity in big data. So, some background. It's set against 4 big data dimensions at the NSO: legal frameworks or legal structures, the IT infrastructure, the human resources, and the applications or projects that are already taking place at the NSO. 3 steps to self-assessment. First off, the NSO would set your goal. Set your goal or target. Where is it you're trying to get to in terms of big data against these 4 dimensions? Then you'd answer some questions that are posed to you via the system, and based on that, you receive some results and some assessment of your gap. Let's take a look at some screenshots of what this is going to look like once it is up and running. So here you see some background on the maturity matrix. And step 1, here you would set your goal. You'd click on the bottom blue button and you'd set your goal of where you want to be against those 4 dimensions. You then answer some questions via the self-assessment. Then you get some results. And you can see from this, I mean, this is a made-up dummy sort of test. You can see that against the legal and policy framework, the NSO set its target at practitioner level, and that's where the horizontal line is. And you can see they have some way to go. They are still not there. And that's based on the questions and the answers that they gave to the questions. For IT infrastructure, they have surpassed their goal. And for human resources, they have surpassed their goal, which is great. But there's a gap. There's a gap in the legal and policy, and you'd hope then to get some information out of the system to help you move towards your goal. There will be an option here to submit these results to the UN, which means that the UN has got just an oversight of what is happening at NSOs and where they are, and that will help inform us of what else we may need to provide to help and support. A fourth step to this, something that we haven't yet done and we're looking at, is how do you then link up? How do you, where there's a gap identified in this system, how do you link that up to particular training courses that could support development, or to particular UN guidance that could help support? So all of this is hopefully going to be with you in early 2022. I think that's it on this section of the talk. There are some links to some useful websites here, including the Maturity Matrix and the Competency Framework, and some other bits and pieces on the website, and some information about our task team. That's all from me and Claudia. Chair, back over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Carrie and Claudia, for this very clear and very interesting, in-depth presentation. I think that's all very useful information. And for those who are looking for these links, you know, one of the links is already in the chat, so you can easily find the rest of them as well. Please go and check. That's very useful work, and I guess we're very proud of that. But without further delay, you know, we have a next presentation. Again, Carrie with us, together with Rajiv, on the overview of new UN Big Data Training Curriculum. Please, Carrie, the floor is yours back.
Bear with me, it's just me. Rajiv was unable to make it.
Sure, okay, please.
Have I shared my screen yet? No. Sorry, apologies, bear with me. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes,
yeah.
There, into the mode. Okay, thank you. So Rajiv is unable to make this today, he had a clash. So just got me, I'm afraid. So you know who I am, I've already done that bit. So this part of the talk is about the development of UN Big Data Training Curriculum. Okay, so this is the overview for this part. Just looking at the development of the curriculum, we'll have a little look at where it's at. And then we're going to have a little look at what is already available. So I know people are keen to get some training, what's already available, and what are the immediate future developments that are coming out of it. And then we'll look at some of the next steps. So first of all, in looking at the development of the curriculum itself, the task team on training has been working very closely with four of the big data task teams: shipping data, scanner data, Earth observation, and mobile phone data. Now, we are going to hear from those four task teams later about their detailed curriculum. So I'm not going to share those details because I want them to do that, because it's their hard work that's got them there. And we are going to see some of that later. So what am I going to share with you? Well, I'm going to talk you through what we've been doing and how we've been supporting those task teams. We basically, the main objective of this is to develop a big data curriculum that is focused on delivering specific big data goals at the NSO. So this is not just about saying what's in my head, let me deliver it. It's about looking at the NSO, what do they need to achieve, and using that as the goal for the curriculum. So we've been looking at different big data knowledge areas, different audiences, and different proficiency levels, because that's what we've been hearing is required as well. We want all of this to map back to the Competency Framework and Maturity Matrix, as we've just talked about. And I think probably key here, given COVID, we want training to be online, available for all, free of charge wherever possible. So a bit like the SDGs strapline, we don't want to leave anybody behind either. How have we been doing this? Well, we've held some mind mapping sessions with each task team. And for those who started with a goal that's come from them, you know, what's a strategic outcome for your training? So for example, when we worked with the shipping data task team, they came up with the strategic outcome of to utilize shipping data via the UN Global Platform for the development of faster economic indicators. So it's quite specific, but it keeps us focused on what the training is required for. From that, from the mind mapping, we considered the job behaviours that would help deliver that for a particular audience. And then we also considered the learning activities to best deliver those job behaviours. So a bit of a stepping stone approach. And of course, always thinking that, you know, it might not be a training course that is the solution. Sometimes it might be on the job learning, mentoring, could be the handbooks, reference materials. So we're trying to think of all of the types of training that could fit, and types of learning that could fit, making sure that choice is available as well. We all like to learn differently. All right, let's have a little look at the curriculum. This is the curriculum on it. The curriculum is quite wide. This is the left-hand side screenshot of it. It's in a matrix format here. It just helps us see what we've got, what's missing. Are there any missing cells to all of this? And it helps us see it as it progresses. So what have we got? Okay, well, we have identified 3 different proficiency levels, and they map back to the competency framework: foundation, intermediate, expert, or advanced. From the mind mapping sessions, some things have fallen out that are common across the task teams. And we have been pulling out knowledge areas and courses that have been common. So they are forming part of a core curriculum. And you can see here, we've got a core on this left-hand side. So things like Python, R, machine learning, some SQL, ethics, data literacy, these sorts of things have become mentioned across. So we've pulled those out into a common part of the curriculum. I'm highlighting a few areas here. You've got a few red ones because I'm going to go into more detail later. But there are some things like mentoring. There are some things like, what about senior leaders? And things like machine learning. We know there's more here. There's more to be explored. What are we going to do about that? We've been thinking of the different audiences. So manager, decision maker, senior leader, project manager, the data scientist, the statistician, the analyst, and then what about all the staff at the NSO who probably just need to know what we're talking about? What is this big data? What does it mean? And then we also have this task of thinking, okay, well, we've identified these courses or modules. What's already available? Which bits have we got to focus on and get developed? So where are the gaps? This isn't a slow process, I'm sure you can appreciate. It's quite complicated, quite complex. Okay, this is the far right-hand side of the curriculum, and I've again just taken a screenshot of it, and you can see the grayed out bit is the task teams section, and they are going to talk more about that later. There's a privacy preserving technique section because that task team, we haven't worked with them. They've been working separately with OpenMind and the University of Oxford University and some other partners, and they've been developing 4 courses, and 2 are already available, and I'll mention those in a moment. First is this section. I'm sure you can see it appeals to all audiences. It appeals to the senior leaders. It appeals to the staff at the NSO. The art of the possible. What is possible with big data? And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And the task teams will go through that section. Okay. So the immediate next steps are us searching for training that's available, online, free, respected, coming from well-established providers, of a good standard, fit for purpose. It has to fit with the curriculum. And then identifying the main gaps and taking the next steps to fill them. Okay, what's already available? I've just hinted at a few things. Privacy preserving techniques with their partners. There are 2 courses already available online and free. Our Privacy Opportunity and Foundations of Private Computation. First one is Foundation, second one Intermediate Level. So these slides will be available. Those links are there. You can go along and have a look. 2 further courses are being under development currently. Federated Learning Across Enterprises, Federated Learning on Mobile. They are due to be finalised in early 2022, so watch this space. Keep an eye on where these are being held, and you can go across and have a look. What else is already available? What about mentoring? Mentoring is also a feature of the curriculum because it should not be forgotten. It's a fantastic way of growing, developing skills, building project prototypes, and assisting the NSO on their big data journey. There is the first mentoring opportunity I want to mention. It's a short-term mentoring. It's called the International Data Science Accelerator Programme. It's run jointly by UNSD and the UK Data Science Campus. It's in a pilot phase at the moment, but it's on an international level, matching mentors with mentees, matching up the skills for a project. It comes with a project submission from the mentee. It's aimed currently at analysts at the NSO who are trying to build their data science skills. It's a 12-week program, but only for 1 day a week do we expect the mentor and the mentee to come together. So it's a very short project that's expected here, but something that could be finished within this 12-week window. So pilot is currently running, it's due to end on the 3rd of December. We're going to do a full evaluation of how that's gone, and the official program will launch in January 2022. This obviously will be broadcast, it will be tweeted, it will be on websites, it will be out for promotion at a certain point in early January. But if you are keen and want to find out more now, please email Giannina at the Office for National Statistics, and her address is there. The second mentoring opportunity is more long-term, much more focused on the whole NSO experience. And this comes from the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office Data Science Hub in the UK. They're focused on data science for low and middle income countries, but they provide ongoing mentorship for specific projects. They guide, advise, you problem solve together. I mean, we are talking more 3 to 6 month projects, sometimes longer. So this is a dedicated resource. This would require dedicated resource from the NSO to work with the FCDO hub. They can also provide training where required, which is really useful. Tom Wilkinson is the site lead, and his email address is contained here too. So some things are already available. Okay, future developments. So these are the immediate future developments. Highlighted some of these in the curriculum. This art of the possible, what's it all about? We've identified this as a priority area for development. The raising awareness level, things like what is big data? What is possible with shipping data? What is possible with scanner data, Earth observation data, and mobile phone data? Now, all of the 4 task teams and ourselves, the training task team, we're all busy trying to get these courses up and running. They will be in a Moodle platform, on a learning platform that we're going to look at later. The aim is to get these courses ready by the end of this year or early 2022. And we've embedded a training coach into each of the task teams to support and just keep the momentum going on this. So watch this space again. So we're getting quite excited of all these things that are coming. What about big data leadership? We are also looking to see about something for senior leaders, data leaders. There's a data masterclass program that's currently running in the UK. We're looking to see if this can be internationalized in some way and get this out early next year for a pilot run. It covers off things like data-driven decision-making and policy-making, communicating compelling narratives through data, data science and new frontiers. We've currently got a global steering group set up and a working group currently reviewing some of the UK material. We just want to make it less UK-centric, more international focused. And we want to make it really attractive and innovative. So we are, again, getting really excited about this. Again, you know, these are all done jointly. This is not just all doing this with the UK, with the UN Statistics Division to push these things out and to make sure they are in the curriculum and they are available for all, free of charge. Machine learning, I hinted at this in the curriculum as well. There's more to be done here. And what's lucky is that there is a machine learning group. ML2021 group is just coming to the end of its 1 year. It came out of UNECE. It's about to embark into ML 2022, oddly enough, but we're looking to see what we can do here. What information can we glean from this group they are pretty clued up on what they need at the NSO. What are they looking to do with ML? What job behaviors are needed and what skills are needed? And again, it's about having a learning pathway for all. The group has done a survey across the ML 2021 group, looking to see how they want to use ML. Number 1, NLP. Number 2, ML or algorithms. And number 3, ML deployment. And we need to understand more about what that means and do some mind mapping and try to work out what this looks like. But again, a really exciting development that will be coming. And next steps overall for this, I mean, you know, fully incorporate the task team curricula into the overarching curriculum matrix that you just saw. Continuing to work with these task teams that we've been working with, but what about the others? There are other task teams out there that we also need to approach and work with and develop curricula for. We want to continue to expand this curriculum, incorporate new knowledge areas, because there are more. There are more specific NSO targets we want to achieve. Continue to search for courses that are already available, online, free, fit for purpose, etc. And then fill in the gaps. Now, I hope you appreciate filling in the gaps is not going to be quick. It takes a lot of time to develop training courses, and appreciating that the members of the task teams, they have other day jobs. This is something that they are doing on the side, if you like. So there's also work to link up all of this training with the competency framework and the maturity matrix, as I've said previously. And again, making all of these courses available in a new UN catalogue, which you will see in the final session today. That's me. Thank you. Handing back to the chair.
Thank you very much, Carrie. Again, indeed, very impressive work. And even though I know that, it's always good to hear that again. You know, when you see this overview of how much has been done so far and how much is available already, I would kind of like want to point everybody's attention to these achievements, because there's really a lot of interesting material. But again, without further delay, I feel the pressure of time. I would like to now go to the next point of our agenda. Thank you very much, Carrie. It was amazing. The next point is an update from the task teams that we have, curriculum and course development, and we have these as a pre-recorded presentation. So I'd like to ask the organizers to help me with those presentations. You need to just deploy them. Yeah. Please.
It's me again. I'm running the screen back here, Dominic. I'm just
Sorry.
What we have here. No, it's absolutely fine. What we have here are the 4 task teams have provided an automated PowerPoint. So we have Thomas Jakobsen from the Danish Statistical Office, but is a member of the Scanner Data Task Team. Marky Mururan from UNSD is a member of the AIS Task Team. Kerry Mengerson is from Queensland University and is a member of the Earth Observation Task Team. And Kathy Riley from Flowminder, who is a member of the Mobile Phone Data Task Team. And what we're going to do here now is play these automated PowerPoint sessions, and they will run back to back. And I really hope that this works.
Hi, welcome to this presentation of the UN Task Team on Scanner Data on this Global Data for Good Festival webinar. For the UN Task Team on Scanner Data, our main objective is to increase the use of new data sources
It's me, I have to keep my camera on.
in the form of web scrape and scanner data in consumer price statistics. As you see, we have a large representation of members in our 3 work streams from several different continents. However, we are of course always looking for new members. So if you find this presentation interesting, get in touch. For the first work stream, our intent is to give guidance on using alternative data sources for consumer price indices. We do this by firstly producing an e-handbook in the form of a wiki on using alternative data sources to produce consumer price statistics. Then we also want to make code available for National Statistical Institutes to test out different methods that can be applied to alternative data sources. For the second work stream, this is on cleaning and classification. Here we want to draft new guidance on potential methods available for classifying scanner data. Here we also use the e-handbook. Then we want to have initial methods or code available to share with other NSIs. Lastly, we have the work stream on training. Here we want to produce new training content for trusted learning. And the key here is that it should be targeted at different entry levels. We want, of course, also to have training courses available. As I mentioned, we use the e-handbook in the form of a wiki. And we do this because we want to have a living document that can always be updated and hereby always including the latest research. This could, for example, be in the form of the latest CPI manual. As you see, the e-handbook now largely covers scan data from start to finish. First, we start with the glossary, then via initial considerations and data acquisition, we move via classification, then to price indices, via implementation, then largely to training. Hereby, we have all work streams covered. Our intention is to use the price indices package, which is available on GRAN. The reason for using this is that it offers a lot of nice functionality that can be used in building training modules. In the work stream on training, together with the task team on capacity building, we have built the outline based on the first user profile, which is the user profile of data analyst / data scientist. What to look out for? The first training course on what is possible with scanner data, and the second training course on an introduction to acquiring scanner data for CPI, they are under development. The aim is to have them ready for the end of this year or the beginning of next year. And here are our contact information in case you want to get in touch. Thanks very much for your time.
Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Marky Muriaman. I am from UN Statistics Divisions, and I'm also coordinating the work on AIS task team. On these presentations, I would like to explain the latest status and the plan in 2022 in regards to AIS training. In collaborations with the training task team, the AIS task team has finalized the design of AIS curriculum. This not only covers the AIS skill set, but also the big data skill set in general. This slide shows the big data core curriculum. So you can see that there is a core curriculum that is categorized into specific knowledge area, such as coding, the good practice in coding, the versioning, the UN global platform itself, the methodology, the project management, the leaderships, the mentoring, and data visualizations. And these courses also have been identified whether or not they are available, such as the introductions to Python is available in the UK campus, and so on. This curriculum also identified the audience. We split the audience between the decision maker, the project manager itself, the data scientists, data analysts, statisticians, and the other staff of the NSOs. Looking at this slide, you would identify which courses is suitable for which audience, and also the level of the course itself, which are split into 3 levels: the foundations, intermediates, and experts level. Now I'm talking about the Ais Big Data Curriculum. So the knowledge area are split into the awareness sessions, the data acquisitions, data cleaning, and data integration and analysis. And you can also see that the awareness is a foundation level, data acquisitions and cleaning, they are at the intermediate levels, and data integration and analysis, they are mostly at advanced level. So currently we have finalized the development of the e-learning courses on the course 1.1, which is the foundation AIS course, what is possible with the AIS data. And we are also going to continue working to develop the courses in the forthcoming months and years. So if you see the audience of these courses, so the decision maker, the project manager, and all of them, right? So they have to be able to complete the foundation level. And then the project managers, so it would be focusing more into data acquisitions, for example, whereas the data scientists, they are expected to learn all of the courses that will be available. As I have mentioned, that the courses 1.1 is available at the UNGP LMS system. To recap, in 2021, so we have completed or we are on ongoing improvement on the AIS Live Handbook that is available in our wiki page. So this is the first handbook that we have attempted, right, to collect all of the information related to AIS from the awareness part also to the use cases part. And then the second is the course 1.1 on the foundations of AIS. In 2022, next year, so we are going to develop a course 1.3, acquiring AIS data via the UN Global Platform. 1.7, developing a faster economic indicator, and 1.8, calculating maritime emissions. So the course 1.7 and 1.8, they are categorized at an advanced level, whereas 1.3 is categorized intermediate level. The development of the courses will be done jointly with the training task team. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Kerry Mengerson from QUT Australia, and I'd like to tell you about the work of our task team in designing a training program for the Earth observation for agricultural production statistics. This is in collaboration with Amy Stringer from QUT and Lorenzo de Simone from FAO. The task team terms of reference included the support of member countries by helping to develop new methods for the collection, analysis and use of new data sources such as Earth observation data for evidence-based decision-making in support of national policies and international agreements. The focus was on the SDG goal target 2.4 and in particular indicated 2.4.1, the proportion of agricultural area under productive and sustainable agriculture. The task team objectives are twofold: to develop trusted methods and also to develop trusted training, and this is the focus of this presentation. The trusted training involved the development of training material on the use of methods and algorithms to estimate crop types and crop yields. The training approach that we took was to utilize the global expertise of trusted, online, publicly available courses. And this was undertaken in 3 phases. The first phase was to define user profiles and knowledge areas, to collate existing online training courses from trusted sources, and to create then a personalized training program based on the existing courses. The second phase is to add a UN overview courses to introduce the training modules, and the third phase is then to embed these training programs in the UN global platform. So as part of the first phase, we developed user profiles, and in discussion with experts, 3 profiles were created, that of a data analyst, that of management, and a GIS expert. We also developed knowledge areas that we believe were topics that all people should know about who use Earth observation for agriculture. These involve software, visualization, remote sensing, GIS, data management, and data analysis. The online courses were described through a number of topics. These involved the role of the course, the professional background that the course required, the use case, the software, and the programming language. See here some of the courses that were extracted and also the descriptions of those courses. So the knowledge areas then fitted into a larger picture. They involved a main goal, whether they were fundamental courses, introductory courses, intermediate courses, or advanced courses, and the topics then of those particular courses under remote sensing, software, visualization, GIS, data management, and data analysis. This is an example of one of those modules for remote sensing. So under the various headings of fundamental, introductory, intermediate, and advanced topics, you can see the kinds of information that was included for each of the courses. This is a further example of the remote sensing module and the kind of questions or topics that were within each of those different areas. So for the fundamental topics, for example, they were around what is remote sensing, what are some of the agricultural applications, and what data do we have access to, right through to the advanced topics, which were more detailed examples, bringing all the knowledge gained so far together and asking how can we use software to handle these data. Based on this information for each of the courses, we were able to summarize them in terms of agricultural courses or spatial statistics courses and provide a key, the provider of the course name, the level of the course, the role for which the course was most useful, the mode, the software that was used, and any prerequisites for the course. Here is an example of a use case provided by Lorenzo de Simone, where the overall goal is for crop mapping using Centu Agri Toolbox. You can see here the types of learning goals and what comes under the headings of fundamentals, introductory, intermediate, and advanced topics. Once we had this information then, we could construct a personalized self-learning system. So we have the user profiles and we have the knowledge areas. But ask them, for a particular person, what is your profile and what level are you now in those knowledge areas on a scale of 1 to 5? And what level do you want to be in each of those areas? So each person then can determine what they would like to become, to have more experience in. Based on this information then, we can create then a set of recommended courses that meet the personalized self-learning needs of the user. This work has been shared with the UN for them to now build into their systems. The next steps of this work involve extending the audit of trusted online training courses, in particular to integrate UN-affiliated courses from other regions. Secondly, to refine the prototype personalised self-learning system, sharing more ideas with the UN for further development of the LMS. And finally, to design a system for certification of these courses in collaboration with the UN. Thank you for listening.
Hello everybody, I'm Kathy Riley from FlowMind Foundation, one of the members of the Mobile Phone Data Task Team and co-chair of the e-learning subgroup. I'm here to give you a quick update as to what we've been doing as a subgroup and what our plans for the future are. The Mobile Phone Data Task Team has 6 thematic subgroups listed out here, and each of them has been working on a handbook to guide people as to how to use mobile phone data for these types of statistics. Earlier this year, the task team also created the e-learning subgroup that I'm here to represent. The goals of the subgroup are to help develop an introductory course on mobile phone data for official statistics, to support the thematic subgroups in developing short-form domain-specific learning modules based on the content of their handbooks, and to be a link between our task team and the competencies training and capacity development task team, training task team, as I will refer to it. The activities we've been doing this year have been included setting up the e-learning subgroup and clarifying our goals in terms of reference, defining an outline for a work plan for the year with a focus on that introductory course which I mentioned, holding meetings and facilitated workshops to collaborate and make progress as a group. We've also received strong guidance and support from the training task team, including drop-in sessions and workshops, and we now have a focal person who's also assisting us, which has been great. Towards the latter part of the year, we refocused our efforts and have focused now on developing an awareness-raising course first, and then we'll move to the introductory course, and we have ambitions as well for an advanced course in the future. I've got here some screenshots on what we've been working on. This is from a workshop we had about job behaviors. We want a particular audience or learner persona to adopt as a result of attending our training. And here we have some work we were doing on the development of a training outline for the types of learning we want someone to pass through as part of our introductory course. This is just a zoomed in screenshot where I'm showing the types of things we've been discussing with regard to content on what we'd be training someone on how to use mobile phone data. In terms of developing the awareness raising course, we've had some serious impetus around this in the last few months, and it's ramping up. We've been doing a few things, including identifying the key modules for the material using the learning design matrix provided by the training task team, and we'll also shortly be preparing the storyboards and the script template for the same. We'll Our ambitions for the future are to develop and launch this raising awareness course on the platform, ideally late this year, possibly early next year, and then to move to the development and launch of the introductory course, which I mentioned, that covers things like how to use mobile phone data, how to access it, some of the risks, challenges, and potential solutions related to working with mobile phone data. That's it from us. This is a slide showing who's been involved, and if you want to know more, please contact the bigdata@un.org email address, and it will be forwarded accordingly. Thank you.
back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Kerry, and thank you all for these interesting presentations. We are a little bit behind the schedule, so I'd like to turn to right away to Ralph Becker, who is going to tell us about the access to big data training resources. Please, Ralph, the floor is yours.
Thank you. How much time do I have, since we're a little bit behind?
It's like 11 minutes, I guess.
Okay. And let me share my screen. Good. So we have heard quite a bit already about the work that is going on in developing different applications for big data, also in previous webinars. But now we actually look at the different training that is needed to enable the skills in the different statistical offices to make use of big data. So we know that a wide variety of training resources is being developed, some of them already available, and that includes training courses developed by the different task teams of our UN Committee of Experts, those that we have just heard about. There are many others that also provide training on big data applications. We're also looking at training on specific skills, so not necessarily big data centric, but skills that are needed, as we have heard earlier when we talked about the competency framework. And we also have to look at training on prerequisites that are needed to actually start to take training courses that are more specific to big data. So some of the details were already shown in earlier presentations. For instance, looking at the whole matrix of different topics that have to be discussed, different audiences that have to be addressed, because all of them have different needs. So this really shows that many courses really need to be developed to develop all of these necessary skills in the people that are interested and to build the capacity in statistical offices. So the different targets that we had seen require different sets of training. So this will vary by application. If I look for scanner data and for Earth observation data, I need different types of training. We will also see a variety by job profile. If you're just a senior manager, I need a different type of training than the programmer that actually has to go in and deal directly with the big data sources. And of course, you have to look at different existing skills and knowledge levels. If I'm a complete newcomer, I need a different type of training than somebody who already has some background in this area and wants to improve the skills to better or more efficiently use big data. So that, of course, raises two questions. What kind of training resources are actually out there? And how do we find the right resources for specific needs? The tools that we have developed so far, the tools that we have developed so far are a big data training catalog. It will come live soon, but I'll show some screens in a moment. And the big data learning platform that we have, which is already running at the URL that is given here. Let me switch to the catalog. So what we have set up here, I see it's not changing. Why not? Sorry, and I have to unshare and share again. Sorry, this has worked so nicely before. So this is an application that has been developed based on a model that was set up by the Earth observation team. Karen Mangerson just talked about it. So we expanded this a little bit to apply this also to other big data training areas. So what we have here is, of course, we have a subgroup now of our task team on training capacity and competencies and capacity development that has looked at setting up the catalog, so the big data file. And we're now looking at an application that makes this catalog available to the users. Apparently today is a slow day. So we have right now about 265 courses listed in there, but we're constantly adding new ones. And this provides us basically with an option to search for specific topics. This is right now just a keyword search, but we are expanding this in the future. For instance, if I search for privacy in this case, I'll get a number of resources listed, and I could then, of course, for instance, look at the details, gives me a description, who's actually providing this course, what type of course is it, when is it available, is it free or not, is there a certificate, also a short description of the course. And of course, I also have the direct link to actually take me to the website for this course where I can sign up and actually then go through all the trainings. So this, of course, would only give us an overview of what is generally out there based on text that is provided, but we want to look at it in a different way. And that was the personal learning path that was already mentioned in a previous presentation, because everybody has slightly different needs when it looks at training. And to throw a list of 200 or maybe later on 500 or 1,000 different training courses at somebody and said, here, look through and see what you find, this is not really helpful. So we're trying to set up a system that actually allows users to filter out the courses that are really relevant for them in their specific situation. We talked about this before. It will depend on what your actual role is, your job profile. We have a number of these profiles defined. We can look through the definitions to really identify where are we to make the best selection. But let's just say, as an example, I'm a data scientist, and I'm working, let's say, on scanner data. This is my working group now. So we're starting with the project, but I'm still unsure what are the ethics and privacy issues that are involved here. And I would say right now, I have absolutely no knowledge about this, but at least I want to get to the beginner level. So I asked what is actually available, and that gives me an extract from our complete catalog of courses that will relate to this particular job profile and the skills and the level that I have just identified, which is representing me. So this is basically a representation or recommendation from our side for courses that would fall into this particular profile that I represent. I could now select everything, but I could also say, no, this may be too much. Let me see just a few. I can again look at the details. For instance, here, if we have our handbook on privacy preserving techniques that has been developed by the UN. But I can also say, well, there are a few courses that sound interesting to me. I would like to know about the fundamentals, privacy management, and look at the handbook. Basically make a sub-selection again from this already filtered down list. And this then allows me to download information about these courses into, in this case, it's an Excel file that I can then keep and focus on these courses that really allow me to take this step that I had identified in my profile. Later on, of course, if I have reached, let's say, the beginner level and I want to see, well, now I need to go to the intermediate level, I can run this again and basically get a new selection of courses. At that point, also update it, because we're constantly going to update the contents of the catalog. So this helps me to really filter out what is needed for me, what is most useful for me out of this large group of courses that are available everywhere. So once we know this, of course, we are also interested in keeping this updated. So there's a feature to add for anybody to add new courses to the catalog, make recommendations, so that we are, because we cannot always be aware of everything that pops up in many different course providers. So this is useful basically to get feedback from others that are interested in this area, to make recommendations that are then useful for other users. And we're also looking, of course, at some evaluation procedures that will allow users then to identify, yes, this is more appropriate for me, but also gives feedback to the actual course developers. So this whole system is running in a test phase now, and we expect it to be available within the next few weeks. The courses, as I said, are being provided by many different providers, but there is, of course, the community of experts now that consists of these different task teams that provide training. And the training courses that are being developed by the different task teams are and will be shown on our learning management system that runs on the UN Global Platform for Big Data. We have right now mostly courses that have been developed by the UN Statistics Division, but there are already a few on in the big data area. For instance, on privacy preserving techniques, we have 2 courses that are already running. 2 more are being prepared. We heard about that before already. And we also have, for instance, the foundation course for the AIS data. So Marky also referred to that in his presentation. So this is, of course, this is a course that is also in final testing right now. So we see the different components to go through, really explaining what it is, use cases, practical considerations. So this really guides users then through a complete course to get foundation knowledge about this topic. And it ends up, of course, in a certificate. So we'll build this into all of these courses that we're developing on the platform related to big data, that there's a certificate always issued at the end, so that users can also track what progress they make. I think this is it to be really, really quick, since we're running out of time. Maybe this was a quick, short overview. Thank you. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Ralph. It was indeed very concrete. Thank you for that. We're just running out of time. It's actually about to end now, so I won't take any more of your precious minutes. Just to summarize the meetings today, I think honestly I can tell you that I've been participating in many of the international groups, many different platforms, but I can honestly say that what has been achieved so far by the UN Committee on the Experts in Big Data together, including all the task teams, is probably the most concrete and the most wide products set that has been ever done, and it's really a big resource. And I would like to recommend to everyone that if you're looking for the information in this regard, this is the starting point, and a great job has been done so far. I really, it's in a very quick time, let's say, because for official statistics, I think the pace of work that we're delivering here is unprecedented. So it was a pleasure to be a chair of this webinar. Thank you all for participating. It was, I think, very interesting, and I hope you share the same opinion with me. Thank you very much, and thanks to all the presenters and to the UN team and to UAE team as well. And thank you very much for this fantastic occasion to meet.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.